Hey there, folks. I'm Alan. This is another Think Twice MTGO gameplay video. Today, I'm running a slightly changed version of the Moon Shadow list that I put out a video before. My initial list started out as Grixis, going back to my favorite modern deck of all time, Grixis Death Shadow Roots. And so the red cards in that list were Unholy Heat. I think then I was still running Expressive Iteration and like Detective Phoenix plus stuff like Meltdown and Pyroclasm in the sideboard. And I'm to a spot now where I think that I just want it to be two colors. So the first change that happened was I started feeling like Expressive Iteration was too slow and kind of taxing on the mana, even though three colors isn't that hard to pull off. Needing to always have like the right spread and like what do you leave back, and when you have red, blue, and black spells at 1 mana, so if you're trying to cast iteration on turn 3, like what do you leave up, what are you hoping to hit, what do you need to hit, all of that sort of stuff kind of ran into weird spots. And really, Expressive Iteration is a turn 3 play, which was kind of an issue. One of the issues being like a lot of times you want your draw to like find you your next land. And the deck was becoming more and more black because one of the other things, going back to the Expressive Iteration point, this is a tangent that leads back to it, that in that original build that I didn't know what I wanted was the last threat slot. I didn't know if I was going to run Cecils or if I wanted to run Ragavans or something. Tried a few different things, and I ended up settling on the fact that I think the best extra threat is Death Shadow. And as somebody who has Death Shadow's power toughness text box tattooed on my arm right there, like, yeah, why not? But really, because Moon Shadow wants you to run Street Wraith, and Nethergoyf pays you off for running Street Wraith and fetches and all that sort of stuff, they all just play into Death Shadow as well. So then once all of the threats were black-based, and then you've got things like Thoughtseize and Fatal Push and Cling to Dust and all this other sort of stuff in here, it was like, man, a different draw 2 spell for 2 mana that you can just cast for black is a lot easier. So I started running some Sign in Bloods, which is kind of funny because Sign in Blood to me for a long time has been a card that's just like, that's not modern level playable. But like, I guess I don't really know why it hasn't been, because it's just a 2 mana draw 2. And maybe for a long time black on turn 2 wasn't really a thing, but like immediately I felt like the deck was better because of the Sign in Bloods. I can cast them on turn 2 if I want. If I'm just like, hey, I don't have anything else to do, or I want to dig for the next land or whatever, you can just cast a turn 2 Sign in Blood. Can't really do that with Expressive Iteration because then the only hit you have is a Mishra's Bauble. So like it just was like, this feels way better, helps be on plan, all that sort of stuff. So then I was just getting there. I'm like, I'm just less and less of another color. And so I decided to stick with blue because one, I'm a Stubborn Denial fanboy, so love it whenever I can run that card. And now you've got Death Shadow, Moon Shadow, Nethergoyf, and Psychic Frog can all turn on Ferocious for Stubborn Denial quite easily. So, okay, there you go. They're all kind of working together. And then at my most recent FNM, in the little like 3-card prize pack you get, I opened up an Abigail Eloquent First Year, and it's a card I've known about, but now that once I had one, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I threw one of those in there. In my practice matches so far with this list, I've only cast it one time, but it was a winning play because I had Death Shadow in play, and then I was just able to fly for 13 when my opponent was at 9. So hey, that worked out. So this is the list. So couple of my interesting inclusions are, I've won Bloodchief's Thirst as a 5th removal spell in the main, alongside the 4 Fatal Pushes you would expect. I don't love Blood Chief's Thirst, but it's maybe the next best one. I know there's another one that came out maybe in Lorwyn, that I don't know what it like kills this it kills like a creature 2 or less, cost 2 or less, and then like if you have something else you can like gain 2 life or whatever. I like the fact that this one can just hit other stuff as well. So we'll give that a try as the 5th removal spells, because basically like if I could play 5 fatal pushes in this list I would. And unfortunately for black, your 1 mana removal spells are fatal push and then a large gap, which some of the other colors, white and red, don't have to deal with as much. There's a few more options all kind of closer together in power, and black has a very strong one in fatal push, but then you kind of drop off there. But I did feel like I wanted one more removal spell, and I think you're rewarded in a deck for this like this for having stuff be as cheap as possible. So that's what we're running there. We got 19 lands. I think it's 9 fetches, all 4 water graves, 2 undercity sewers, 3 swamps, 1 island. I feel like you don't have any trouble getting your life total low, so running 4 basics doesn't actually feel bad in this list, because you get to a point where you're like, all right, fine, and you can kind of bounce back and forth. And the only card that actually wants you to have a low life total is Shadow. These other cards just pay you off for using ones that happen to lower your life total. So there you go. 2 Cling to Dust just to kind of be a little bit more card draw or interaction, all that sort of good stuff. So then the sideboard, this is where I felt like I was the most shaky on going to blue-black, because I lost access to Pyroclasm and Meltdown. And I definitely think that the options in blue and black are a step down. But I'm hoping that maybe the consistency, the simplicity of just like, oh, do I want a basic, or do I want a shock land, or do I want a surveil land, is you never have to worry about which colors you're getting. If you're getting a shock, it's always a water grave. So like very simple. So you still got the consigns as extra graveyard hate. I've got 2 Nihil spell bombs and 2 graveyard trespassers. More removal, but less so more removal and just removal for bigger and different things in the Shieldred's edicts. Notably, in this main deck, it's very difficult to kill like a Quantum Riddler, or even a Kappa Cannoneer, things like that. So the rest of the sideboard is kind of like helping out with that. So the edicts can come in. I have 1 Day of Black Sun as I'm trying out as a sweeper here. Notably, it can be a black hit all 0 creatures, which is kind of nice, especially against Affinity. You get to sweep up all of their tokens and, Ornithopters, Memnites, that kind of stuff. For 3 mana, you can hit all 1s, which can be really good against Boros. You also have 2 Engineered Explosives along those lines, and 2 Vexing Baubles to kind of be a little bit of a hodgepodge mishmash of different ways to deal with all of this kind of stuff. I can't say that right now I'm in love with the sideboard, but it's there. And so that's what we're going to deal with, and that's what we're going to have. Definitely some other options in that sideboard that could be dealt with. But we're going to run this through a league and see how we do. All right, on the draw for the first match. Here we are. Got 2 lands. I don't love drawing an Undercity Sewer, but we can. The downside of this hand is there's no threat. So if it's a matchup where I want to be fast, I don't have a ton going on, but I have good interaction for all kinds of stuff and some card draw. So I'm going to keep it and see what happens. It's Tron. Okay. Or Eldrazi, sorry. Most of the time they don't run Tron lands anymore. We'll see what happens with this. Okay. Oh, Blade. So this is actually going to be words and stuff. Brood Scale. Thank you. Gosh. Hopefully Blade. Sorry, I'm trying to do my two things at once with my brain here, and it's not functioning. I'll continue my thought as soon as I get through this turn, but I am going to thought seize my opponent. Brood Scale, K Command, Temple. Notably, no green mana. So let's get rid of a K Command here, because that card sucks. So what I was saying is, hopefully I don't have too many like clearing my throat moments and stuff like that. A couple weeks ago, I caught the flu, and it was pretty bad. And opponent is passing, and it was like 2 weeks of just trying to be like recovered. So I was down for almost an entire week. So they're gonna create spawns and scry draw. Oh, you dummy. Oh, I should have stubbed it. Why didn't I do that? Oh my god. Trying to tell a story. That's not on anybody here. That's on me. I will keep another land. I should have just stubbed that. You gotta slow down. Gotta slow down. Well, I'm just going to take the blade because that's the thing that lets them win here, potentially. With the fetch land on top, I can kill like a Flesh Raker with this Fatal Push. Okay. Yeah, sorry, that. So I'll have to finish telling that story. But anyway, so I feel like I'm finally recovered, but of course, as soon as you get in front of a microphone, all of a sudden things are worse. So if I do clear my throat a couple of times and it's annoying, I apologize in advance. So I do want to kill this Flesh Raker. I'm wondering if I want to cycle this Street Wraith or not. Feel really dumb for not using a Stubborn Denial on that Kozilek's command. So there's one unknown card in hand. They still don't have green mana. So I can fetch, Fatal Push this Flesh Raker, draw 2 cards, maybe? Is like a way to do this. I don't have to worry I mean, I guess maybe a little bit about my life total, but so I have 2 options here. I could cycle a Street Wraith and just see if I draw a threat that I can put into play. But I think I'd rather draw 2. And still not have a threat. We gotta find one. Vexing Bauble Cycle is fine with me. Soul Guide Lantern, also fine. I mean, what that means is most likely I will now find a Nethergoyf. Did not find a Nethergoyf. So there's one unknown card in their hand. They have 2 Basking Brood Scales. Gosh. Like I could be looking at being at 4 if I cycle the Street Wraith and cast this Thought Seize. But like I do have to find something at some point, right? Well, we'll start with the Thought Seize, because cast your spells. Alright. Okay, there's a shadow. That's at least something to work with. If we could just go like Shadow into Abigail now. Might be something. There might be something to that. Okay, here comes a Brood Scale. Now, there are 2 blades gone, because they exiled one with the Devourer at the beginning, and then I thought seized another. Don't need yet another land. That is also good to have. I don't really need any more lands in place. So I'm going to hold on to this just in case I can get a frog. They're going to sack their Soul Guide Lantern for a card, and that is fine. There's no point in pushing the Brood Scale that's already in play because they have a second one in hand. Oof. This is a Devourer. It's probably game. Yeah, I'm going to call that good enough. I don't have any Shieldred's Edicts in my... Man, I wish I'd just been smart. Okay, so the consigns are going to be good. Potentially these edicts. I don't think I care about Trespasser. I don't care about Day of Black Sun. I don't really care about the Engineered Explosives. Vexing Bauble, no. Nihil Spellbomb, no. So, Fatal Push is fine. I'm going to take out the Bloodchief's Thirst as a start. This version is more creature based, so I think I could cut 1 stub, and then maybe I cut like 1 push. I could cut a Cling. I can bring in 1 Edict. I mean, so the things that matter the most are Fleshraker and Brood Scale. Like, I know I got hit by a Devourer there, but like, I don't know how many edicts I really want to have access to. I could cut a Sign in Blood in this matchup because it's really more about just being kind of on point and like you just got to have stuff and get there, and we're not grinding as much. Excuse me, sorry. I do like the consign, so I guess I'm going to keep. It's not the best hand I've ever seen, but okay, so we're just going to lead on our Moon Shadow. Not the fastest Moon Shadow, but maybe we'll draw something good here. It is a little bit unfortunate that my second land is just a Surveil. Grove into Stirrings. See a Cavern. It's not great, considering that's one of my plans in a matchup like this is stop your dumb dudes from coming down. I do like Thoughtseize, though. So even though, once again, this is a very slow Moonshadow clock here, I might just luck into our opponent, like trying to play a Brood Scale this turn or something, or they're just going to play an Urza Saga, play a Blade, play a second Blade. Okay. Well, let's take a look. It's in a book, the Reading Rainbow. take the Flesh Raker because I can counter a Kozilek's command with my consigned memory because Cavern only makes it so creatures can't be countered. You. Okay, Eldrazi Temple is a draw for the turn. All right. Well, at least I have an answer for both of these Kozilek's commands. With my slowest Moonshadow clock ever. Ah, yeah, you can't select colorless Eldrazi spells or abilities to activate Urza Saga. Well, these Fatal Pushes can kind of contain this Saga a bit, so that's something. My opponent here wants to make a second construct. I'll push the first one, I guess. I wonder what other targets they have to search for besides Blade. Drum's not terrible. Cavern we knew about, naming Eldrazi. Notably, creature spell. Rumble, we don't have anything we can do about that, so. Let's see. They get Ballista, 2 Emrakul, and a Blade, so I'm guessing they're putting an Emrakul into their hand. Yup. So we do have to deal with that at some point. Let's see, they have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, sort of 11. I'm going to err on cast my spells on stuff that's on the board now rather than sitting and waiting for something that they don't have. That's a good draw. Now I can put a frog into play and hold up a consign, which is nice for me. Ah, I've tripled my clock. Forest we knew about. I feel like I need to actually be able to find. So they have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So they can cast the Emrakul. And then they have a 13-13 that I can't do anything about. So I'm going to try to get in for a bunch of damage right now. Since I can't cast this shadow anyway. And maybe I can find something. Did I take out both clings? No, so I do still have a cling. I could find a Shieldred's Edict or something. Found another consign. Okay. So I can at least stop the take over my turn trigger. And my Moonshadow can attack past an Emrakul. Okay, so we want to cast. We'll target the ability. No need to try to do that because the Emrakul itself can't be countered. A Shielded's Edict is a very good draw. We will just Menace paying off here. I'm just going to really make sure that this one doesn't resolve. Okay. So this is lethal because the Moonshadow's Menace, so they can either use both creatures to block the Moonshadow and this frog gets in, or they can't block the Moonshadow. So drawing all three consigns was really good there. I'm tempted to go down one Fatal Push and up one Edict here. But maybe I go down one Sign in Blood, up one Edict instead. The ability just to kill Brood Scales with the pushes is something that I feel I don't really want to go down on. So I can turn one Thoughtseize, turn two Frog. Buy myself hopefully some time and then get there is the hope. Opponent starting with a Soul Land never increases your chances. Pithy Needle, Fleshraker. So I think I take the Needle because they're probably going to want to name Frog, right? And that's literally the threat I have in hand, so. Temple, Fleshraker. Yep. So I am tempted to cast some Street Wraiths and see if I find a removal spell for this Fleshraker. Because the Fleshraker can do some stuff. Nethergoyf. Not exactly what I'm looking for. Fatal Push. Let's kill the Fleshraker. Leave that on top. We'll get the Frog down next turn. Next turn might be like a Frog plus Goyf turn. since we have Frog in play, you basically can't F6 anymore. They're just making us gain life because they're worried about Death Shadow. Which, fine. I'll take some extra life. Opponent has lots of mana. Oh, apparently they've decided that they weren't going to win from there. Which is kind of strange to me because, like, you're a K-Command deck, you just top deck a K-Command and go off. And I don't know, maybe the fact that I drew 3 consigns in game 2 makes them feel like, oh, well, they're just going to have it. But I mean, like, I didn't. But, like, so for next turn, I'm drawing a Cling to Dust. I mean, yeah, maybe they just had all lands, but I don't know, a little bit of an early concession on my part, but that's the rule. You can concede whenever you want. I will take a win, especially with that stubborn denial blunder that I had against that K command game 1. So, good start, I guess. We will be on the play for our second match here. Two lands, 2 Sign in Blood, Cling to Dust, Street Wraith. So, like, this hand could be anything. Could also be nothing. So I could... I'm going to keep it. Maybe a little speculative just because, like we said, like, we don't know if any of these cards are going to be good. I mean, it could be going up against Burn. So I could start with a Street Wraith and see what I draw. If I fetch, I'll have 1 type in the yard, not a second. But we're just going to start there. I guess if my opponent has like an Unholy Heat, I can get him here, but my Goyf will just die to a Discharge or a Bolt or a Push or a Prismatic Ending or a... you name it. It dies to it. Okay. Let's cycle the Street Wraith. Find a Fatal Push. Well, we'll play our second land. We'll bin a Frog, even though we already have creatures. Would have been nice if that had been a 3rd type. I can put the instant in the yard, with this Cling to Dust, so that is something. So this signals to me, my first guess is Jeskai Blink. Could also just be like blue-white control. I don't have anything else that I can do, so I'm just going to draw a card here. If they have a removal spell or something for my Goyf, I don't have any way to... oh, it's a Felia. Okay, well, that's fine. Finding a 4th type here would be nice. Thank you. Quantum Riddler, you say? Is now my Stubborn Denial. The reason why the 4th type was nice is that my Stubborn Denial is alive. Okay, the Riddler we knew about. Oof. Come on, land. I even upped it up to 19 for this. I haven't had an answer to the Nether Growth yet. I would be shocked if their 6-card hand did not have an answer for this Nether Growth. That is a way to survive. Okay, so they're 2 cards off of Flage here. Well, that makes me feel like I can pretty safely Thoughtseize. Riddler, Fable. They do have an arena, so I just have to make sure that I don't go down to 3. Of these, what gets in my way? Of these, what gets in my way? I mean, most realistically, right, their play next turn is Escape the Flage, because they're going to try to go for that. So if it's not, if they play Fable, they make a token, they could haste the Riddler. I cannot stop that. But they could haste both Riddlers, so I'm going to take a Riddler. Then we'll play a Death Shadow. Notably, they cannot haste a Riddler and escape Flage with 5 mana. So, I'm safe to a Riddler, and a hasted Riddler doesn't do anything. So I think they're priced into the Flage play, and then I just... So they're just going to try to kill my Nethergoyf. Yep, haste for creature spells. So we'll let them pick this target. They're picking me. I grab a swamp. I fatal push. And I have 2 lethal attackers. Okay. All right. So one of the things I have to think about in any matchup that might play Solitude is how bad Death Shadow is against Solitude. So I don't know if every Jeskai Blink deck plays Solitude. I imagine they will. So my plan is you take out the Shadows and you take out the Abigail, and you bring in the Trespassers as extra threats. I also would like, because of the Flage and the Riddlers, I want Edicts. And these 7 cards over here all have potential. So let's think about that. So I think I can easily take out the Bloodchief's Thirst, which I'm finding is a consistency. It's just being sorcery speed is so rough. So that's 60 right there. So every more card I bring in, I need to take 1 out. So I feel like in this matchup, is 4 answers to Flage in the yard enough? Maybe. They don't have anything else that they care about the graveyard for. So that makes me want to say a little bit less of these. The Baubles Can like stop a Solitude, but other than that, they don't do a whole lot. So do I want any consigns to kind of fight? The idea is like the only thing I think it would really do is fight when they have Felia. So I think I'm just gonna take out 2 Mishra's Bauble and bring in the 2 spell bombs just because I don't want to lose the Flage. So we'll do that. I could also cut some number of Street Wraiths and just basically say like, okay, some of my cards are not going to be as strong this game. You know, like my Moon Shadows won't be as good because of cutting down on some of those free permanents put in, but also like the idea of, you know, the first Moon Shadow in this matchup living is not that great. Guaranteed that's coming on the heels of a game where my turn one Nethergoyf lasted the whole game. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I've got a Fatal Push for a Ragavan. I've got Thoughtseize. I'm going to keep it. I've got a Spellbomb for Flage. Okay. I'm just going to lead on Thoughtseize here. See, Riddler, Discharge. Let's just take a Riddler. All right, more lands for our opponent. I'm fine sitting on a Street Wraith here for a bit. My guess is by playing the Plains, they either drew a Felia or, yeah, they're just going to cast the Riddler, draw a card, go from there. Okay. So here is now a question. There are 2 unknown cards in their hand. If they untap, what hurts me? Huh. I guess I'm just gonna Sign in Blood. Here's Sign in Blood showing off why it's good. Okay, there's another Goyf. Another Goyf that I can probably get to a point that it can beat this Discharge. Okay. Let's... Another Goyf. And another Goyf. We'll make them have a second Discharge in order to kill one of these. So my other ghosts don't die to a Flage, and I have an answer to a Flage. Do have to remember they have that Riddler that can come down if they have a 5th land. Is there any reason for me to not fetch here? Felia doesn't do anything. I mean, they could Solitude Ephemerate, but I don't have anything I can stop from doing that, so I am just going to go get my Surveil land. That's fine. Couldn't stop it no matter when they had it, so... Don't need more lands. Wow. It would be cool. Since I have the Spellbomb, do I want to cling and draw another card? I could always do that at instant speed, so the only upside of doing it now is if I draw another threat. Did not draw another threat. In fact, drew another land. Hey, every land we draw, there's one less land in the deck to draw next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of 19. But our opponent has also drawn a lot of lands, so. Oof. If they have an Arena of Glory, that's real bad for me. No Arena of Glory is good. If they cast the Riddler that they had on Warp, maybe they're just casting the Flage here. If they're just casting the Flage, that's okay. Okay, Edict isn't bad. We'll get another land out of our deck here. We're just gonna gobble up this Flage right now. Okay. Question is, do I want to play Frog? I do want to play Frog, I think. Okay, so they have a dispute. All right. All right, Nethergoyf. Come on. That's my Nethergoyf being a 5/6. Nicely. Oh. We do lose our Nethergoyf to that. I was going to say nicely, it doesn't die to a, what's it called? Let's see, let's look at our yard. Our graveyard has besides the Nethergoyf, 2 creatures, 2 sorceries, 2 lands, 2 artifacts. So I can escape the Nethergoyf and not lose any count. Okay, so we click artifact. Ooh, maybe we can leave artifact. Hold on. We can go instant, land, creature, sorcery. We leave both artifacts because those are harder for us to acquire. I'm not totally sure what the right move is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I can play this Moonshadow and have Cling to Dust up, I guess. We'll do that. Because now our opponent has 2 Quantum Riddlers on Warp, and so they kind of become a stone wall if they cast them here. Let's see if we look at our graveyard again. I have 1, 2, 3 lands. So I get rid of 2 lands, an artifact, and 2 instants. Our opponent played a fetch land and did nothing. That confuses me. So, Solitude, right? That has to be the play. We're going to click Fable. And then we can get rid of land, instant, artifact, instant. Yep, okay. Okay. Guess I don't care as much anymore. Oh, that frog's a real good draw. Wow. Holy moly. I'll take it, folks. That was a hot series of turns. So that frog was literally perfect. You will not hear me complain one bit about that. Back on the draw versus Rusty's Pikachu. If the Death Shadow was a Moon Shadow, this hand would be very, very tempting. As it stands currently, we could go Watery Grave, bobble ourselves, bobble our opponent, Thoughtseize, Street Wraith. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. If we have a land in our top 4, we can deploy the Frog and or the Shadow if it's a fetch land. Tarn, bauble. Bauble checks self. Fetch Thundering Falls. Kappa Cannoneer, okay. Well. Oh. Bauble check our opponent. We see another bauble. I'm still just going to take this Kappa Cannoneer because I really don't like it. But our opponent is drawing a bauble. Okay, there's our second land. So Frog is live. I found the mythical affinity opponent who actually cracks their baubles. I don't know what to do. Okay. So I'm tempted to start cycling Street Wraiths here. Did not find a... So our opponent next turn can go Opal, Claws, Tormod's Crypt, cast the weapons manufacturing, cast an engineered explosives. And then the next turn they could blow it up. I have one Watery Grave left in the deck, so I'm kind of tempted to fetch it now. But do I want to play the Shadow or the Frog first? I think I want to play the Shadow. So I don't actually need to fetch it now. I can fetch it on the end step. Yep. Claws. Crypt. Opal. Manufacturing. Explosives. They're out of cards we know about. If they have another 0, it makes it really difficult because do I want to fetch here? Gosh. So let's say they have another artifact they can play. Either they go land 1-mana artifact or another 0 next turn. They get 2 of these. They can use this. I mean, it would blow up all of these things that they have. Oh, they can actually do it right now. So I cannot fetch right now because they can use the claws. Or does this cost a mana? It costs a mana. They could use the Claws of Gix to sack a munitions token and deal 2 damage to my Shadow. I think getting a Surveil land here is actually important. See, I don't think I need another threat. I need something that lets me interact with whatever's going on here. I never asked you to do that. Sometimes it does that. Okay, so let's attack with Shadow. So their hand is not a land. It is not a 0-mana artifact. In their hand is also... So let's say if they had not cast the weapons manufacturing, they would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Kappa costs 6. So they could have a third Kappa Cannoneer, at which point I do kind of just want to have as many threats as I can possibly have on the battlefield. Although a Kappa Cannoneer might just have me dead the first turn it can attack. Well, I guess I at least feel good about the fact that I sussed it out. So this is currently a 6/6. So I go 6, 10, 15. Let's see. Let's look at the graveyard. What can I exile? I have multiple creatures, multiple artifacts, multiple sorceries. So, unfortunately here, while this does force a chump block, it just forces them to chump block the Nethergoyf, which doesn't change any of this. So that's all fun and whatnot. Maybe our opponent just can't do math. He is only a Pikachu after all. Our opponent can do math. Pikachu, confirmed mathematician. That's not really a draw that helps much. Our only out is our opponent does not have an artifact. But they didn't have a land last turn. So as soon as an artifact hits the stack, we can concede. But like if their hand is like land Emery, Krang. Okay. Oh no, that's an artifact? Alright, we're good. Good game. We did it. The third Kappa Cannoneer got us. Okay, I guess time to see if any of this stuff is useful. Alright, so I'm probably going to make a change where I just don't have the Blood Chief's Thirst in the deck anymore. That's probably going to happen. Let's go sort by mana value. Unfortunately, even though you think of this deck as an artifact deck, most of the artifacts that you really care about wanting to stop are not colorless. So Consign is not actually very good against this deck. Alright, let's give it a try. I don't know if the Day of Black Sun is going to do anything because I haven't seen like Pinnacle Emissary. Doesn't mean they're not playing it, but they very, very likely are. But gush, gush, gush. Too many threats, not enough interaction. Like I can go Moonshadow and then nothing. Like the Abigail, excuse me, the Abigail would be good as a follow-up to Moonshadow if you had a few things that you could like make the Moonshadow bigger and then you start beating down with it and gaining so much life that maybe you can get there. But like I think that hand is just a mulligan and I'd rather have something different. God, I don't even really like this hand that much. Like the affinity deck is just so fast that I am extremely tempted to mulligan this hand to find an engineered explosives or a vexing bauble or something. So like let's think through the like what is the kind of game where this hand wins. So I go fetch Nethergoyf turn 1 plus bauble, or maybe I go bauble check and then I can see if I want that card or not. And then like Nethergoyf into Frog, and then I have to like draw good cards from there. Like I guess that's doable. They are keeping 7, so their hand is probably quite good. But is this hand good enough to say, okay, I'll keep it because I at least have a game plan here where if I mulligan to 5, like the odds are becoming lower and lower that you have an even functional hand. But in a matchup that I feel like maybe isn't that great, is keeping a mediocre hand what I want to do? The Reed Duke in me wants to say you keep this hand and you just kind of hope the top of your deck does good things. And so I think Reed would keep this hand, so I'm going to keep this hand. I miss watching Reed Duke play. It's been a while since he's put out any content. A Death Shadow. We are not in the market for that. I'm sorry, good friend, but... Undercity Sewers, you are not the draw we were looking for. I am sorry. Skateboard. Pass. Please pass, opponent. You don't need to do anything else. Okay. It doesn't bode well for this next turn. This makes me think this next turn is going to be something nuts. Oh, and they're going to be able to needle my frog. Does that mean in response to this needle that I just want to discard these 2 cards? I'm very tempted to do that if they play a needle. Because the second frog certainly isn't going to do anything good. Okay. Emery. Emery's noted. Ravager Bauble. There's the Pinnacle Emissary. I guess I'm glad that the first one I've seen is milled to the yard. We're equipping the skateboard. Oh, we're gonna... Just play the Bauble, please. Okay. Now they should... I guess they don't have to, but... It'd probably be good for them to pop the Tormod's Crypt on their turn. Because otherwise, like, I have access to my yard for a turn. And, like, there's no blocker. So it's not, like, doing a whole ton. We'll see if they want to pop the Tormod's Crypt to prevent some damage here. They don't. Please. I would really like to draw something to kill this here Emery. I don't think doing anything here matters. Alright, they are drawing steam vents. They are returning the Tormod's Crypt. Okay. They play an island instead of the land I know about. I understand that my Nethergoyf is never going to attack again. Why did I not do the last card? I feel dumb. I feel real dumb right now. Have I mentioned ever before how much I hate this stupid card? Like, somebody convinced me how Kappa Cannoneer is, like, a fine card. It has freaking Ward 4. Like, what are we doing with Ward 4 on stuff? Oh my god. It's ridiculous. I have not found a single spell that kills anything ever this whole game. Okay, all I know is about the Steam bench. Yes, you have successfully exiled my graveyard. I know there are worse cards in the format for like overall format health and all of this sort of jazz, but Kappa Cannoneer is one of my most hated cards. If it didn't have Ward 4, it'd be fine. But like, it might as well just have hexproof. And it's like super fast, super big. You can't block it. So it's basically just completely uninteractable. So the only option is to always have up like an answer for it, or you have to race it. Why in the world's my opponent not attacking? Oh my goodness. All the frogs a man could ever want. Yet he can't use them. So my opponent is just going to wait until... Well, they're just going to kill me next turn, right? So they Emery, bring back the Arcbound Ravager, creates another token. Then they use the Ravager to sack both of them. The Kappa Cannoneer is unblockable. And yeah, so that's game. That's game. I'm not even going to sit through it. All right. Every other. I'll take 50% on the play. Sand's not very good. Having both on the Undercity Sewers is not fantastic. I could go Surveil turn 1, turn 2, play a Moon Shadow, play the other Surveil, or play the Fetch, and then I have a 2/2 Moon Shadow, but this is not much better, but I guess a little bit. Put back the Undercity Sewers, and we'll shock that in. Play our 0/1 Nethergoyf. Yield through this turn. Sadly, I feel like I haven't had any good, okay, so it's Belcher. I haven't had any good Disrupting Shoal. My shoal has been disrupted. Any good Moon Shadow draws yet? Abigail plus Nethergoyf. Bad combination. We'll get a Surveil now and see if we hit anything of use. Well, up our power by 1. Right now, this is not a fast enough clock. This is one of the worries about playing this Abigail card in this list is it's not great with Frog. It's okay with Frog because you could like discard your hand and then play the Abigail and you have a big Frog, but it can't do Frog things anymore. doesn't even draw you cards because this says it loses all abilities. All these fatal pushes in my hand against the deck that definitely doesn't want me to have them. Actually, they want me to have fatal pushes, but I don't want to have fatal pushes. All right, so if they have land and Charbelcher, they do the thing. There's land. They did not cast the Charbelcher, though. Good gravy. One, two, three, 4. So are they looking to use War of Invention is my guess then? Even though it looks like we're on the cusp of winning, I feel like we have never been farther away from winning a game than this one. Yep, here comes Whir. They were for X is 4. You find Belcher. Belcher costs 3. I guess it's fine for me to let this happen because then I at least get to look at their deck. See if there's anything funky in here. I guess like I'm not totally used to the blue and white version. I don't know why you need to. Let's see here. Counter spell, super spell snare, Charbelcher. Into the Flood Maw, good to know about. Harbinger, good to know about, but I have a bunch of basics, so whatever. Disruption Shoulder, Charbelcher, Stern Scolding. Okay, nothing out of the ordinary here. Okay, well, I guess Vexing Bauble's okay. And Consigned Memory's good. I think I want to take out, surprise, surprise, the Blood Chief's Thirst. I didn't see Tameshi, did I? I don't think I saw Tameshi. Engineered Explosives isn't worth anything. Yep. Okay. We will play first. Thank you. Oh, so many good cards for the matchup, but I have no lands. This is slightly better. Not the Fantastique. Would love to see like a Thoughtseize or something on top. Or a threat. Nethergoyf counts as a threat. Cast the Nethergoyf. Thank you. We will yield through this turn. I prefer to draw no more lands. probably okay enough. Question here is, do I play the frog or the sign in blood? Turn 3 is not the turn that I need to have the consign up. Okay. We'll play this Vexing Bubble. Play land. We'll sign in blood. They can counterspell that, I guess. This is not quite as fast of a clock as I would like to have. So the Vexing Bubble prevents any casting of Lotus Bloom. They can't cast Disrupting Shoal anymore. I mean, I guess they could hard cast it. I could not tell you what the casting cost of Disrupting Shoal is, but you may preordain. I miss playing cards like preordain. They don't really seem to be that great at the moment. Makes me wonder if they unbanned Ponder, how much play it would see or how good it would be. Okay, so they have another counter spell. That is a good draw. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna recast it. Oh god, I can't do that. I gotta wait. Oh. I just can't get had by a Belcher here. I just can't do it. Let's see. I have multiple creatures. Alright. 2/3 is better than nothing. Does it make it? Okay, XX that thing. Okay. I guess if they have some way to... Okay. Say if they had some way to counter my consign, then we're in trouble, but... Doing this now, because I might be able... Well, now I can escape this here Nethergoyf, even though I will not have much. So let's go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good old 1, 2. Oh, Nethergoyf. Tameshi and into the Flood Maw. Well, I just don't want you to have Tameshi, so. Question here is, do you gift me a... I don't know, you don't have to gift me a fish. Alright. Please don't top deck a Belcher. I will take that. I'm really tempted to sacrifice this now. I need to make a little bit of headway here, I think. Leggy, 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 leggy. Okay. They didn't even want to see their next draw. Fine. Anything different based on what we saw? Do I want any removal spells because of Tameshi? It might be irresponsible to go into this matchup in this last game not prepared for Tameshi. So do I bring Fatal Push or do I bring Edict? I think I'm going to bring in 2 Fatal Push. And I'm going to cut 1 Cling to Dust. And I'm going to cut something. What am I going to cut? What do we cut? Folks, what do we cut? I'm tempted to just say cut the Abigail. I mean, yes, I know if I can get a fast death showdown and have her, that it can be like 13 power really fast, so that is something, but I don't think the life gain matters much. So I think that makes her like my worst threat. That is a hand. I mean, so once again, do we ride on the... Like, this just has a game plan of, you know, I've got a Stubborn Denial so I can stop some things and surveil. But I think I'm willing to mulligan that. Like. Let's just put back the frog. Might seem weird, but... Okay, our opponent plays a tapped land. As long as this Moonshadow resolves, we're okay. You Disrupting Shoaled my Moonshadow. Now I will proceed to lose the game. Okay, Death Shadow is something to work toward. I can get it down as a 1/1 next turn. I do need to remember about the, they still have the sink into stupor. Well, let's see what they got going on. Step through, return 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. That's 5 mana, and you can cycle for a wizard. You have the sink that I know about and a Whir of Invention. So Whir has to be able to be cast for a whole bunch. That's not coming off for a couple of turns. They're going to want to play the sink as a land. So I'm going to use the Consign to stop the Bloom from coming down. Gosh, I feel like I just want to take the sink and make them have to draw lands. They're going to cycle for a wizard. Is that Tameshi? Is Tameshi a wizard? Great. Maybe you should have thought of that. Come on. That is a good draw. My stubborn denial does not stop it. Alright. Now we are on a mission to find threat number 3. Does he have to have white mana to return the thing with Tameshi? And this, it just says return. Yeah, so it just comes back. Okay. The Psychic Frog. Threat number 3 found in the game. Okay, so you play Tameshi. You have no white mana. You have 1 card in hand. What is this 1 card going to be? Whenever 1 or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn. White X, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Return target artifact or enchantment card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Land, creature, I guess land. I don't have another whiff in play right now anyway. So I can sack the Bauble to cast the push to kill the Tameshi. If I do that right now, I'm vulnerable to a Belcher. So now I can do it. Okay. Whew. Okay. Belcher can be a strange, tough, and weird matchup. So felt like good luck we navigated it. Point for the Reed school of thought, I guess. Um, I don't know. I felt like I never really. I mean, I guess I had some good interaction, but it was just kind of just like, well, here's just kind of a workable hand, and we'll get there. So I don't know if you've never watched Reed Duke play a bunch of Magic and to like get what I'm talking about. Go back and look at like a bunch of old like Channel Fireball YouTube videos that Reed put out years ago. And just the way he's meticulous about going through things, and like the thing that I admire maybe most about Reed is that he commits to a line and he says, if the other thing happens, it happens. I have to accept that result. You can't worry about it after the fact. You can't like commiserate or lament a choice you didn't make. You have to pick a path and walk it. And he just does that so well. But I really felt like that was the way I kind of ended up playing the two sideboarded games here. Is like I could have just, tanked on those mulligans and just gone down to, 5-4 cards to try to find a piece of interaction. But I guess the one thing about Belcher is if they don't like do something really fast, you have a couple of turns to get going. So I guess there's that. But we'll see if we can have a even better finish. But always happy getting 3 wins in a league. Every other it is. Well, this creates some fast shadows, so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is this another? Is this just the second Belcher in a row? Interesting. We'll see what we can do this time. But I can cast a turn 1 shadow. It's funny if you look here, the way Street Wraith works. It says I discard Street Wraith, and then it says I also cycle Street Wraith. Question always is, do I want to just to deploy the shadow turn 1? Or do I want to Thoughtseize? And I think I'm gonna go for the shadow, especially since I have 3 other threats in hand. So even if they counter it, oh, well, would also help if I could do math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll go for the Thoughtseize. And then next turn we can double Shadow. Okay. Disrupting Shoal, and they have no ones. So I'm not as worried about that. They have 3 lands, Thunder Trap. I'm just going to take the Thunder Trap. The plan here is get 2 shadows down. And then I guess I can follow up with whatever else I want. Let's see. The fetch increases my damage by 6. So a fetch land is not lethal. Sadly. Harbinger's fine. Buys them a turn of me not being able to cast spells, because if they don't block here, they have to block next turn. I guess next turn they could block 1, sink 1, then their Harbinger's still dead. So, things. Stubborn Denial would have been a really sweet draw. Preordain. Fine with me means they can't cast a Belcher this turn. 1 top, 1 bottom. Maybe they have a second sink? I guess if they have a sink and they plan to sink one of these, they don't have to block with the other one. But all right, well, we don't have any other options, so there's not much of a point bluffing anything. Oh, I tapped that so poorly. Should have used the island for the frog. And I could have played both Nethergoyfs. Okay. Whir for the thing. Do they have the Belcher? Okay, they didn't have the Belcher. All right. So let's see. Last time we brought in Consigns, and we brought in Vaccine Baubles. We left in 2 Fatal Pushes, 1 Cling to Dust. We took out Abigail. Is that what we did? That still looked good. I guess I think it still looks good. Can't imagine I want any of the other cards that I didn't bring in, so there it is. It is quite nice having 3 Stubborn Denial and 4 Thoughtseize main deck as like just interaction that's gonna do something in every matchup. because then it means in a matchup like that, I have some game, and then like it gets better after sideboard because I get to bring in now things that are specifically good in those matchups. So this is an interesting choice here. This is one that has the interaction, but no threat. I think my best course of action is to have something that can be threatening. So, like, I can keep this. I think then I have to put back one of the consigns as much as it hurts me, because I've got to be able to use these other cards to get stuff into play. Really didn't want to draw the Surveil land. Okay. So I'm at 18. This would be 15, 13. So this is a turn 3 Death Shadow. Which is not fantastic, but it's what we're looking at. So we'll see. Okay, there's the bloom. I cast, okay, Thundertrap Trainer, so we will know a card. Disrupting Shoal. Okay. I'm not going to crack the fetch, because if they have a Tameshi that they play, which I don't know if they'd really want to do until the turn when the bloom comes off, suspend, but we will take the hit. That is pretty good. So the question here is, if I start on Vexing Bauble, I cannot play the Death Shadow, because I have to cast this Sign in Blood for Death Shadow to work. So, since the bloom is not coming off suspend for another turn, I'm going to see if I can get something else going first. So do I go shields down this turn? I don't think I can, because once again, they could always just cast a Charbelcher on turn 4, and then it's just ready to go turn 5. So okay, so there's the Tameshi. So so I really need to find something like that. That's perfect. All right. Plan in place. Well, it's nice because the vaccine bubble means I don't have to spend a card or mana on countering this bloom. I guess if they have another Tameshi, then that throws a wrench into those plans. Here we are. I have nothing I can do about it. So the way this works is now they return this, they sacrifice it for 3 white mana. And then they use Tameshi's ability with 1 of those white mana to bring it back again. And then they sacrifice it for more mana. And so likely what they're doing is they probably have a whir. So they're going to do it for enough mana to be able to whir for their Belcher and have enough mana to return it or to activate it. So there is a limit on how many times they can do it because of you have to return a land every time to do it. Yep. They win that one. Okay, so second Tameshi got me, but that's what second Tameshi does. Still don't think there's really anything different I want to do. I mean, I don't think there was like no timing. I guess I could have waited to kill the Tameshi, but then they can still just play the second Tameshi and do it all. Right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I didn't have anything different to do there, so all right, here we go. Oof. Undercity Sewers, you are really hurting me. Really helps me. So when I was adding a 19th land to the deck, I was like, oh, do I add another basic swamp or do I add a third Undercity Sewers? And all of the times that the Undercity Sewers have been in my opening hand and felt bad has made me feel like the correct decision was to not. All right. 2 for 1. Okay, here's a Lotus Bloom. There's a tapped land. Tameshi, Thundertrap Trainer, Jawari Disruption, Engineered Explosives. Well, I'm just going to take the Tameshi because getting beat by Tameshi sucks. Tameshi's gone. So yes, they can EE to blow up my Nethergoyf. I have to try to navigate this correctly to get them to blow up the engineered explosives next turn so that I can cast my vaccine bauble once the engineered explosives are gone, so that I don't lose both my Nethergrowth and the vaccine bauble to them. I guess another option is I can use the consign to stop the ability to cast this off suspend, so it just stays in exile forever. Okay, it's just looking like what we might have to do. Okay. Well, so what does shocking in or bolting in the Soporific Springs mean? It says they have something they might want to be able to cast this turn for 1 mana. So, I mean, a Stern Scolding or something. I'm tempted to see, like, do I want to cast the Bauble to make them have to blow up the engineered explosives in their upkeep, which would tap them off of 2 mana. No, I think what I'm going to... Oh, gosh. But then if they have a 4th mana and a Belcher... I think I just have to hope that they don't have a 4th mana and Belcher in their hand. So the way this should work, if I understand correctly, is I say, okay, you remove the counter. Puts a triggered ability on the stack. So puts a triggered ability from the stack, removes the time counter. So this is now the one that would let them cast it, correct? I hope I've done this right. Believe I have done this correctly. So now the Lotus Bloom just stays in exile forever. Okay. So that says no Belcher in hand. I kind of want them to crack the explosives. Because then maybe they don't have another land and they try to go for like a Belcher here or something. Or like I can draw a fetch or a shock, which would allow me to play my shadow. See, now my Stubborn Denial does not feel very good. Okay, sink into stupor, which tells me we probably don't have to worry about the Belcher this turn. Okay, so they're holding the sink. Don't want that. I don't know if any of these matter. I don't think they do anything with their yard, so I'm just gonna say that. So they have a Sink into Stupor and an unknown card. Okay. Fetch land is good. Another fetch land is also good. Well, let's see. If I escape the Nethergoyf, I can go creature, artifact, instant, land, and I can have an active Stubborn Denial, and then I can follow it up next turn with a shadow. Okay, so I can take out creature, artifact, land, instant. So they haven't had the card. I'm going to keep my clock in play. Tezzeret the Seeker. Untap 2 artifacts. Huh. They're gonna get the Belcher. What a draw. What a draw. Gosh. I don't know if there's anything I can do. I don't think there's any card I have that can save me here. I don't have something that stops the activated ability. I don't have I don't have anything that destroys an artifact. I don't have any way to give this shadow haste. Feel like I held the line with the mindset until that last decision, and then I shouldn't have made it. I've been playing these matches patient the whole time, and I should have just kept on doing it, because then I would have been able to counter this Tezzeret, and then I could have replayed both of these threats, and then they would have to top deck something else. Land, artifact, instant, creature. Frustrating. Frustrating end. But, alright. So, overall, I'm very pleased. 3-2 is always a good finish. I'm never gonna be upset at that. Maybe I said it the last time. I don't know. If you go 3-2 for life, that is one of the highest win rates that anybody could ever ask for in a gaming career or in any sort of competitive career like that. So winning 60% is pretty darn excellent. So overall pleased with that. I'm frustrated at that last decision, and yeah, just I guess I can't worry about fighting over, like, they don't have very many ways to permanently answer my threats. So just like, okay, you spend a card doing that. That's not winning you the game. Hold your interaction only for stuff that wins the game. Now, guaranteed, I wasn't thinking about Tezzeret the Seeker. If they just drawn a Goblin Charbelcher, the result would have been the same. But probably should have just said, okay, yep, bounce the Nethergoyf. And then I have interaction up if they try to play that Tezzeret. I stubborn denial it, and then I go Nethergoyf Shadow, and then they have one turn to draw something to win the game, and then they can't even draw a Belcher at that point because they don't have enough mana to play it and activate it in the same turn, and then I would have had lethal on board. So frustrating that we could have been 4-1, but overall, you know, despite that being the sour taste left in our mouth at the end, feel pretty good about things. So let's see here. Move things around a little bit so you can see the whole deck. Oh, I forgot to put the little card preview window up. Shooty patooty. So thoughts on some of the things in the deck. I'm unsure in the sideboard about this Day of Black Sun. I never really had a time when I was like, okay, yeah, this feels like what I want. The thing that worries me about this card in particular is it cares about mana value versus like power and toughness as a board wipe. And it and the fact that most of my threats are 1 mana, kind of like, like not great sort of tension to have there. Otherwise, I think the sideboard is fine. I could see trying some number of Hurkyl's Recall instead. So I'm a little unsure about this. All the rest of these cards seem fine. Like maybe only 1 Engineered Explosives is needed, maybe not sure. But otherwise, this all feels okay. I mean, maybe I don't need 2 Nihil Spellbombs. If I have 2 Cling to Dust main, 2 Graveyard Trespasser, and 2 Nihil Spellbombs, maybe 6 pieces of Graveyard Hate is too much. So maybe I could have a couple of sideboard slots to play with here, 2 or 3 potentially. In the main deck, I'm definitely going to be dropping the Bloodchief's Thirst. I never really felt like it was useful. I would play a 5th Fatal Push, but I don't get to. So, little bit iffy there. We never had a point where the Abigail was useful. I think the only time that I drew it was when I had a Nethergoyf in play. So there's a lot of non-bow happening there. I do want one more threat. I don't want to add the 4th Death Shadow because I don't like being stuck in those spots where we can't turn the Death Shadow on. Excuse me, sorry. So I don't want to play a Death Shadow as the last threat. I don't love the idea of playing a 1 of Cecil. So I don't know where we go there with these card slots. If I'm not thinking of a threat that might fit into this deck and you've got an idea, feel free to leave a comment saying, hey, what about so-and-so? I'd have to sit here and look through my cards and see if something else jumps off the page to me. I also don't know about what to make the Bloodchief's Thirst. I mean, maybe you just roll with 4 Fatal Push main and that's it. That like doesn't sit well in my gut. But I also don't think I want to put one of these edicts in because every 2 mana spell you add like slows you down that much. And so then if you're all of a sudden playing like this, now I'm adding that many more 2-mana spells. And you really get ahead by being able to double spell. So I like that this one was a 1-mana removal spell. But, So, not 100% sure. I do feel like the Bloodchief's Thirst wasn't really good. Of course, we also didn't play against anything like Boros or anything where I think Bloodchief's Thirst could be quite good. One really nice thing about Bloodchief's Thirst is it can kill a Flip to Johnny. So maybe I just need to accept the fact that if I want a 5th removal spell, that might be the best one I get, because there are times that it will be useful, just not all of the times. So I don't know, I wouldn't be upset just running back this list and seeing what happens to get a little bit more data. You don't always have to make changes or choices right away. I do, like I did mention, one of those matchups, I do not want the 3rd Surveil after playing through that league. There were too many times that I was drawing one of the 2 Surveils in the opening hand, and you really just want to be able to fetch for those when it is advantageous. So yeah, a couple things to think about. One more, if there's an option instead of Abigail as the last threat, certainly wouldn't play more than one Abigail, but it is, sorry, yawn, jeez. Abigail is interesting as kind of like a surprise win finisher. Is this kind of like your Temur Battle Rage slot for those of you old school Death Shadow fans. But like, I don't want to run a Delve threat, because then that kind of nerfs your Nethergoyfs, and you already have Clings and Nethergoyfs as escape cards, plus you've got Frogs, so you've got plenty of stuff you're using your graveyard for. I don't think I'd want to just like add a little more interaction in like an Inquisition of Kozilek or something. Just because then you start having hands where you've got all this interaction, but no threats to put down on the battlefield. And I think right now we're at what? 3, 7, 11, 15, 16. And 16 is kind of where I feel like I want to be, to be able to consistently find not only 1, but 2, 3 of them. I did like Sign in Blood. I thought Sign in Blood was fine. Certainly better than I've felt with Expressive Iteration in these kinds of lists recently. So, but yeah, couple of thoughts. So maybe 5 cards throughout the 75 that could use some tweaking, but aren't like guaranteed needed. Just the thought of this Bloodchief's Thirst being able to kill a Flip to Johnny like really makes me give it a second thought as an inclusion and keeping it in. And then it's kind of fine to have the ability to consistently board out a card. It does mean that in certain matchups where Fatal Push is not good, that you have to find 5 cards to board out. So like if we think about, let's say, a more traditional like big mana Eldrazi deck, not the Brood Scale one that we played against, you have to bring out those, and so then you'd have Consigns to bring in that matchup, and you're all of a sudden running out of stuff. So another thing I could think about is Break the Ice as another potential sideboard card. So, yeah, some thoughts, some tweaks that could always happen, and you can make it work a little bit for whatever you're trying to beat. But overall, happy with the deck. I like the way it plays. It's kind of like aggressive mid-range, I guess is what I'd call it, because you can really put some pressure on. We didn't have any of the really fast Moonshadow draws in this one, but I've certainly had them where that card can just really apply pressure fast, and the fact that it has Menace is so good. So, well, if you are still watching now, over 2 hours in, thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you like the kind of content we do, then feel free to subscribe. That's the best way to tell us, hey, keep making stuff, guys. It's been a while for those of you who like the actual like traditional podcast episodes. It's been a while since we've done one, so maybe Drew and I will make that a focus to sit down sometime soon and record one of those. I do have some recordings of another Basement F&M, so Paper Magic fans. That should be coming out soon. It was just, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, a few weeks ago, middle of March, I caught the flu, and that had me down for a whole week, and then recovery was not conducive to me sitting in front of a microphone. So unfortunately, that has been a bit delayed, but I do want to get that out to everybody. So thank you for watching, folks. Subscribe to the channel. If you have either a podcast topic you'd like to hear about, or you have some questions you would like Drew and I to answer on a podcast, please feel free to pop those in the comments. That would be awesome. So if you're looking for a podcast episode, because you're feeling like we're neglecting it, which maybe we have been a little bit, then feel free to drop some questions and topics down for us, and that will spur us a little bit to make sure we get that done even sooner. Thank you, folks. Enjoy your time. And until next time, we'll see you. And I don't know. I need like a sign off. Stay classy or some nonsense like that. So have a good one.